Just by looking at the title alone, before reading the poem, readers would assume it to be about living a solitary life, being different and isolated from the society. As a reader, I thought about the kind of man Poe was, and it seemed his personality and life is reflected through his very different approach to literature like Poe's short stories, The Raven and The House of Usher, which are known for its dark and psychological themes. So, looking at the title alone, I predicted this poem to be quite solemn and probably autobiographical. In the first few 8 lines, the poem basically talks about how the speaker acted and thought about things differently. He loved and was passionate about different things. His source of sadness and happiness were different to others. The part about all I loved alone could be referring to Poe's personal feelings of abandonment when his father left him and his mother passed away. Though he loved them, he feels he had loved them alone. The rest of the poem talks about how during the speaker's childhood, he recalls from the powers of nature a mystery which I assume to be the demon-shaped cloud that I think symbolizes the speaker's traumatic memories of the past that haunts and curses him, leaving him with despair. In this poem, we find words like the fountain, red cliff, the sun, lightning in the sky, the heaven. Now, these are all aspects of our environment and natural wonders. If not taken literally, these words depict happiness and a beautiful life surrounded by marvels. However, even through all these pleasures and bliss, the speaker finds the demon, which some think does not literally refer to a demon, but Poe's real father who abandoned Poe and his family. This demon overpowers what is beautiful, such as the cloud, takes its form and haunts and curses Poe so that he is never happy and will always remember his loneliness and grief of losing the people he loved, such as his mother, who left him through death and powers of nature, which are beyond his control. The demon could be a reference to Poe's father, but I think it could be another word for the past or memory. Though Poe tries to go forward with his life and tries to recognize the beautiful things that surround him, memory, or Poe's past, haunts him like an evil demon, and I think that's what Poe was trying to tell us through his poem. Poe seems to have a negative outlook on life. Looking at his choice of words and phrases from beginning to end, we can see how solemn and downcast the poem is. Sorrow, the same source I have not taken. All I loved alone. Binds me still. Demon in my view. The last 2 phrases especially show how the speaker feels trapped by his past, and he will never discover real happiness. He shows despair and melancholy while he ponders on his gloomy past and a dark future alone. The imagery of nature, one of which uses alliteration and personification. The sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, to illustrate nature as moving, sublime, and so close to him, adds to the solemnness of this poem. Because no matter how close the sources of beauty and happiness are to the speaker, his negativity towards the past and his future will haunt him, take over his life and mindset. The speaker has an attitude of sadness as he talks about his seclusion and isolation as a child in the first 8 lines of the poem. Readers build up sympathy with the speaker. Though the speaker does not change, there is a shift of attitude as the speaker says then, and goes on to talk about how despite the beautiful nature that surrounds him, there is still a demon that haunts and curses him. This unexpected shift helps readers feel the speaker's torment and anguish to the full extent. Also, from the word then, Poe uses repetition of the word from over and over again for an emotional buildup that ends with a demon in his view that haunts him and reminds him of his miserable self and solitary life. The rhyme scheme also plays a part in this poem. It is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, and so on. So the ending rhyme scheme is very ordered. Like the rhyme scheme, we expect the poem to be about loneliness. However, there is a shift in tone and conclusion with the demon. So we see that the ending rhyme scheme plays a part in making this poem surprisingly very dark and disturbing. Looking at the title alone again, we see that the word really does sum up the whole poem. But I feel another purpose of this title is to make readers feel they know what to expect from the poem when in actuality they don't. From reading the title and the first few lines of the poem, readers expect the poem to be about the speaker just talking about his loneliness. However, we have an unexpected shift in tone when it says then, and an unexpectedly negative and disturbing conclusion when it says, when the rest of heaven was blue, a demon in my view. When reading this poem, it is helpful to look at some facts about the author poem itself. Alone by Poe was written March 17, 1829, the same year that Poe's foster mother, Frances Allen, had passed away in February. Poe's real father abandoned the family. Poe's real mother died when Poe was very young. Looking at how many people left Poe alone as a child to internalize his grief, it is not an overstatement to say that he must have felt that his childhood was cursed and haunted by a demon. I feel Poe's conclusion about the demonic memory of the speaker's past proves that the message of this poem is not a positive one. By reading his literature full of dark themes, it seems he could not escape from his mental trauma for a very long time. There does not seem to be a hopeful tone for happiness in the future in this poem or his literature. Though a pessimistic poem, I feel Alone has a very honest, real, and down-to-earth message about recurring, haunting childhood memories of feeling secluded and isolated from society. So why this poem? While researching poems, I came across this painting by Edmund Dulac. It made me think, what is that thing in the sky? And after I learned that the painting was based on Poe's poem, Alone, I read the poem and I loved it because it instantly touched me as an honest and real poem. I think it's a poem everyone could sympathize with because once in a while we feel alone. We feel we're different from others. Though not in the extreme case like Poe, where he lost both of his parents, his foster mother passed away as well. We all have memories, whether it is of our childhood or at the present, that we wish to erase, but keeps coming back to us like a nightmare, or in this poem like the devil, against our will. Though a very negative and dark poem, I like how I'm seeing a different side to Poe that I had not seen before. One that makes him look very fragile, very human. Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I cannot bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow. I cannot awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.